Hey, I am ready to be interviewed.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for attending this very important meeting today. I am joined with PenFlow AI's CEO and co-founder, Roderick Powell. Roderick, why don't you introduce yourself and start from there?
All right. All right. Well, I am Roderick Powell. I am the co-founder and CEO of PenFlow AI, LLC. I will just say the complete name. Um, so I have been involved in developing models, AI, machine learning models for many, many years, even before it was called machine learning and AI. I was building similar models and also evaluating these types of models. And, maybe about, I don't know, a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, I got wind of the next iteration of AI, which people call generative AI, and I started playing around with I think it was called GPT 2 or GPT 2.5, which is what we call a large language model, and just playing around with it. And I was blown away at how well it could speak to me. I could put in an instruction or a prompt about any topic, and it could, respond to me in complete sentences and just extremely well. And that made me delve into it and more. And and then the fact that it was open source, which means that anyone, if the company, in this case OpenAI, approves you, could go in and play around, with this large language model. And I did that and became pretty proficient at it. And along the way, I met up with some like-minded individuals who were also passionate about AI, and we formed PenFlow AI to to develop apps that leverage this Gen AI technology. So that kind of, sums up how I got to this particular point.
Well, very good. That's a great summary of the journey. Well, I have some questions for you, not only for asking about your apps and your journey there, but I also want to take a peek under the hood of your perspective of the current AI space. So I would ask the first question: what would you define as the current AI environment?
Uh, it's a free for all because people see the potential of artificial intelligence and how it will touch every aspect of society. But they also see that they can make money from it. So what you have is like an arms race, and everybody's racing to get into the AI business um, because there's money to be made. And so you have the big players like Microsoft and Google and Facebook, I guess Meta, Amazon. Everybody's racing to be number one in artificial intelligence, and they're putting a lot of money behind it. And then you have a lot of startup AI firms, like my firm, PenFlow AI, who's also a part of that race. And so there's people who are trying to develop better AI models, and there's people who are trying to capitalize or make money from these particular models. So it's almost like the wild, wild west. There is no clear. We don't know who the winners and losers are going to be yet in the AI arms race. Um, you know, I'm confident that PenFlow AI will be one of the survivors, one of the winners. But you just don't know. It's like the early days of the internet, and some of the early players in that industry went away, but then some of them grew to be the humongous companies like Google that we know today. So it's very competitive. There's a search on for the best people who know AI. It's a very small subset of people who really have an in-depth knowledge of AI. So everyone's trying to get resources, people who understand AI, and that's one of the reasons why I co-founded PenFlow AI, because I've been involved in the AI space for a number of years, and I was, I guess, what we call an early adopter, and I definitely wanted to leverage my expertise to create products, that AI products that could help people. Because as you know, AI can be used for good or it could be used for evil. And I want to be one of the people out there, in the AI world that's, with my goal of using this technology to help people, to help make their lives easier.
Right. So with this, if you were finished with your answer, didn't want to interrupt. But
Yep.
so with this vision of AI helping with daily tasks and helping with mundane activities, how do you ensure that AI technology is, one, safe, or is will not, it doesn't have data privacy concerns, or really, let me actually rephrase the question. How do you think that startups and businesses like Microsoft address the ethical considerations relating to AI, such as privacy and bias?
Um, well, I mean, I think, most of the companies now, like if you're using a chat bot, for instance, let's say you're using, Chat GPT, and you ask Chat GPT a question, you may say, okay, well, name the 5 best, um, fiction novels of the last 25 years, right? And it gives you what it considers to be the 5 best novels, and that's the answer, right? Okay, so you look at that list of of answers, and let's say that all 5 books that ChatGPT, and this is hypothetical. I'm just using ChatGPT as an example. Let's say all 5 books are books written by men. And to make it even more specific, let's say they're written by men in Japan. So for some reason, when you ask Chat GPT or whatever chatbot you're talking to give you the 5 best books of the last 25 years, it gave you, it was very biased. So it assumed that the best 5 books were all written by Japanese men,
Right.
right? So that's a problem. I could replace that Japanese with African American or Hispanic or Latino, whatever. But that tells you that you're getting a biased answer, right? So that is something that everyone in the AI space, that's a concern. You don't want the AI system to give you biased answers. You want fair, equitable answers. So that's something that a lot of developers are working on, how to ensure that. And one way to ensure that is to look at the text that the model is trained on, to make sure that whatever sources it's using, whatever books, whatever articles on the internet, are from a variety of sources and diverse sources, written by people from all backgrounds, right? So you have a diversity of information that the model is trained by. So when you ask a question like that, you'll get a more representative result and not a skewed result. So it's an ongoing challenge, and the big players like OpenAI and Anthropic, they're working on it. They're trying to ensure that the output from these AI models, particularly the Gen AI models, is not biased. And on top of that, you also have problems with sometimes you get toxic results or dangerous results, because you don't want to go to an AI system, a chatbot, and say, how do I build an atomic bomb and to blow up something, right? So you don't want it to give you instructions. You don't want it to give because it could just be anybody, because most of this stuff is open source, so anybody can use these AI tools. You don't want your AI system to be giving out dangerous information or potentially harmful information. So again, that's the area that developers of these models are trying to make sure that the models do not give people biased results, toxic results, or dangerous, output.
Right.
So it's an ongoing. That's probably one of the top concerns is how do you prevent the models from, producing stuff that's not in line with ethical values of society and not bias and not prejudice, and those are very important issues. And then I think you also asked about privacy concerns. So, most of the large language model developers, like ChatGPT, when you use their product or the AI tool, they will tell you up front that, they'll say, whatever text you input as a prompt, we can record it. So, if you opt into that and say, yeah, you can use my data, whatever I type in, and you put something private in there about yourself, that's on you. So you reveal your own private information. But most of them let you opt out. So they will tell you, if you, whatever text you input into our chatbot, if you don't want us to save that information and use that information, just, check this box and we won't do it. If you don't check the box, then we will look at what you type in and we will use that information
Right.
to train, our models. So yeah, so there's definitely some data privacy concerns, but a lot of that rests on the user of the AI system, and the user of the AI system, the burden is on them not to reveal, their own private information to these systems. So then they don't have to worry about if it's using their information or recording their information or not.
Right. That makes sense.
I would not use, any open source chatbot, and I can ask the question like, name please recommend the top 5, nonfiction books of 2023. That's okay, but I would not, say anything personal like, I was, born in this year and in this date, and who else was born on this year and this date, because obviously I'm giving my own personal information to
Right.
it. So put social security numbers and anything, like that, and converse with one of these AI systems and, using my, really proprietary personal information. I would not do
Right.
that.
Well, that leads me to my next question about that is, some companies are choosing to work with AI and using AI at their company, but some are not choosing. They're choosing to wait and kind of see how the landscape shapes out. What is your opinion on the how companies should choose to treat AI?
Well, I think, it's, and, I understand the hesitation, especially early on. When all of this Gen AI stuff first came out, and it was so amazing, and it could do all these wonderful things, and write novels for you, it was like magic, and if you want to write a report on your job, it can help you get started doing that, cut your writing time in half. But you know, because it's so magical, and it's so amazing, and it's so new, um, and it's technology driven, there's people are a little bit frightened by things like that. And not just AI, but all technology. You have what we call early adopters who are the first in line, when there's a new iPhone out. They stand in line overnight to get it. Some people really embrace technology right out the box. Some people are a little bit more cautious, and the same goes for companies. Some companies are conservative and they, kind of wait and see how things play out, and some companies are aggressive. And if it's a new toy, they want to play with it. So but I think the way technology works, eventually, even the people who are slow to adopt it eventually adopt it. So I think most companies will have no choice, because it's going to be AI will be embedded in just about every aspect of life, work life and non-work life. So you either jump on the bandwagon early, or eventually it's going to catch up with you and be ubiquitous anyway.
Right.
So I like to be early, just because it gives you a competitive advantage. If you have something that your competitors don't have, you can take advantage of it. So, you know, but then, being an early adopter, obviously, if something goes wrong, you know, you got to pay the price. So, you know, so yeah, so there's pros and cons about, with adopting technology
Right. It's a
early
balance.
versus late. Um, but I always like to use the example of, Blockbuster. And because Blockbuster was a major company years ago in the US, and they had stores everywhere. They would rent out, first VHS cassettes of movies, and then they morphed into renting out DVDs. And, they just, and they were a juggernaut. And, and they were happy and they were making a lot of money. But new technology came along, and and I hate to use names, but I will. Netflix, and Netflix said, "Wow, you go into a Blockbuster store, you got to see if your video is there. A lot of times it's not. You got to wait, and it's just so it's just not a good experience." So they came up with a business where, okay, well, you just we'll just send you the DVD in the mail. Don't worry about late fees. Send it back when you can. They just made watching movies so much more convenient, right? And then and they went to Blockbuster and they said, "Hey, this is a new way of doing things, and I think that will be a good fit for your company." And so they were going to actually sell themselves to Blockbuster. Blockbuster said, "No, there's no future in what you're doing. Netflix is, you guys are going to go out of business. People are going to always go to Blockbuster stores and rent DVDs."
Right.
Famous last words, right?
Right.
I think there's one Blockbuster. They had hundreds of stores. There's one Blockbuster store, I think, that's left now. Okay, so and Netflix is now the big movie company. People watch their movies on Netflix and streaming services, right? So Netflix is the biggest streamer of movies, and it could have been Blockbuster. All they had to do was buy Netflix for little or nothing. But Blockbuster, because they had been so successful for so long, they were not willing to embrace anything new. So I can say this to the companies out there that are, afraid of new technology, afraid of AI. Ask yourself, do you want to become the next Blockbuster, or do you want to, become the next Netflix? I would go with becoming I would embrace technology and try to become the next Netflix and not go the way of the dinosaurs. So that's my philosophy as far as technology. If you don't embrace it, you'll definitely be left behind.
Yes. Well, well, speaking of embracing and technology, how did you come up with PenFlow, and what is it? And explain how something how this is actually can be used in everyday life.
Well, like I said, I've been involved in the AI space, for a while now, and I guess maybe 3 years ago I got into it very, very heavy. I for some reason, um, I'm a spiritual guy. Just the man above just, placed on me that this AI stuff was really going to just take off for, and so I decided to return to college. And when I was in school, so long ago, when I was in college, nobody knew about AI, know, and so it wasn't a thing. So there's no such thing as artificial intelligence. We just had human intelligence, right? I mean, and so about 3 or 4 years ago, I decided to go return to college, and I went to Emory University in Atlanta. They were having I think a 2 month or 8 week special program on machine learning and artificial intelligence and data science. So I entered that program. We would be there, every Saturday, all day long, just coding in Python and learning about all of these machine learning algorithms and AI and so forth. And that kind of got the wheels rolling for me in AI. So that was like maybe 3 years ago. So when this big wave of AI came, I was ready. I already knew about AI. I had hands-on experience with it, and so and then when Gen AI came aboard, I already was in the AI world, so it was easy for me to find out about generative AI, and so from there, when I saw what Gen AI could do, which just blew away all the other AI stuff that I had seen in school. And, when I saw the writing that it could do, it was just really, really amazing. Um, I thought that it could be useful, but, but the thing about the open source models, a lot of them are difficult to use, and you have to, and if you want to produce certain output from them, you have to be really creative with the prompts that you put in. Like, you have to tell the AI system exactly what you want. So, if you want a recipe for a pumpkin pie, you have to be very specific. If you want to know everything, you have to say, okay, well, when you prompt, you say, okay, please tell me what ingredients I need, what temperature to set the oven at, how long to cook it. You have to ask it all this stuff so they give you specific answers, right? So, I use that's just a kind of a joking example, but you really have to be very specific and detailed to get these systems to give you the information that you really want in the format that you really want. So with PenFlow, I was thinking, well, what can we do to make it easier on the user? I want people to be able to use AI, but I don't want them to wreck their brains to use it and get useful information out of it, right? So my thought was to build an app that was very user friendly, that didn't take a rocket scientist to use it, right? You didn't have to go to Emory University and learn how to code in Python, to use it, right? So that was kind of the thought process, was to develop a AI tool that anybody could use, whether they were a technical person or a non-technical person. And and I was thinking about, the way that I write a lot, and I've written, books, I've written screenplays, I've written a lot of stuff, and essays and so forth. So when I write, I usually start with the outline, right, of what I want to write about. If I'm writing an essay, when I was in school, I would always start with the outline. So I would start with a few initial thoughts. So if I'm writing an essay on Albert Einstein, for example, I might start with 4 bullet points that I want to expand upon. I may say, okay, Albert Einstein was a great, theoretical physicist. He taught at Princeton University. That's another bullet point. So just 3 or 4 ideas, and then I would do my research, go to the library, do my research, and then fill out the paper, right? And finish the essay. But I would start with my outline, so I know exactly what I wanted in my final paper. Obviously, that takes a lot of time to write a good essay, you know. And so, so I was thinking, that's how I write without using technology. So with AI, I said, let me see if we can mimic the same thing. So build an app where you start with the outline. I want to talk about this point, this point, this point, 3 or 4 bullet points, and produce a full page of information based on these bullet points. So like the app says, we always say bullet points to paragraphs. So we're starting with ideas and then letting AI fill in the rest of it. So even though I may start with, 4 bullet points, then I end up with, 3 or 4 paragraphs of information based on, those initial thoughts. So that saves me a lot of work. I mean, it cuts the time to produce writing in half. So that was kind of my thought process, was just to develop something that's user friendly, that doesn't take a lot of thought, and that really makes writing easier and more efficient. And the great thing about using AI, everybody's not everybody didn't major in English in college, right? So writing doesn't come naturally to a lot of people. And, a lot of times I read stuff from other writers and then I have typos and grammatical errors. The thing about, AI is that AI is very good about producing writing that's typo free and grammar, error free. So that's another benefit, is that not only can it help you, my app in particular, PenFlow, can help you write quicker and easier, but also write without errors, without typos. So, you kind of get a double benefit. You get you can write whatever you're writing faster, and you can do it error free. So that was kind of my thought. And it has a very easy, it's very easy to use and very pleasant, user friendly interface.
Right. Well, now I guess to close out close all the thoughts out here, what are some actual use cases for something like this?
Well, I think the obvious one, I think I alluded to it, when I was in school, I had to write a lot of papers. So, if I was a college student, I would definitely look into, using an app like PenFlow to help, write essays. But I can see a lot of use cases. So, if I was a real estate agent and I had to list a house for sale, you want to make the house sound really good, right? So I would use the PenFlow app and say, like, okay, one bullet point could be 4 bedroom, 3 bath. The next bullet point could be, upscale neighborhoods, good school district. And another bullet point could be, HOA, great HOA, or whatever. And I would let PenFlow write the rest, just come up and it can. So, it just really makes the job of anybody who has to write anything just much easier. So I can see a lot of use cases. Anybody who writes reports or, whatever can use the app and get benefits from it.
And so in what industries do you think this could impact the most?
Are you talking about PenFlow or just AI in general?
I would say for both. Yeah, I think that's a good question in general in the AI space, but also, what is PenFlow specifically targeting?
Well, the way I look at PenFlow and AI in general is, you don't want AI to do all your work for you. I always look at AI as something that is a supplement to human effort. So, let's say I'm writing a book, okay? I don't want to let AI write the entire book for me. I want my own thoughts and feelings and impressions in that book. I want some Roderick, right, reflected in the writing. So I might let PenFlow or AI give me, a basic outline and the first draft of whatever I'm doing, but then I'm going to go behind it and customize it. And so I look at this as, I think you can get better results. I think you get results if you just a human writes something or AI writes something, but I think you get the best results when you have the human and AI working collaboratively. And I think that's how you come up with the best product.
Right.
So that's how I view, AI is AI plus human gets the best answer. And so, in other words, a human working with PenFlow app can really produce some great written
Right.
text.
Well, I appreciate your thoughts today. It is right at 7:30, so I think that
Oh wow, that 30 minutes went by
yes, it did.
quickly.
Yeah, it
I
was it
yeah,
was time well spent.
I was hoping I could talk about things like killer robots and
Yeah. Next time we
crazy.
gotta we gotta have some suspended interest here. So we'll talk about that the next
Okay,
time.
well, thanks a lot. I appreciate you interviewing me, and talk to you next
Yes,
time.
thank you.
Okay, take care. Bye bye.